Hello and welcome to the Street Crime UK YouTube channel. Please don't forget to like, share and subscribe. Today we look at the Chief Crown Prosecutor Nazir Afzal helped jail thousands of criminals, including notorious killers and sex offenders. But now, after a 24-year career, the lawyer has focused on defence in a murder case he claims was a miscarriage of justice, and he aims to clear a woman he believes was wrongly convicted. Dentistry student Harmohinder Sanghera, known as Mindy, was jailed for life in 2007 for killing of 17-year-old Sana Ali. Mindy, now 35, had been in a 2-year relationship with Sana's husband, Saeed, unaware he was married and expecting a child. The trial heard that when she found out, she took a kitchen knife from her home in Solihull, Birmingham, and drove 115 miles to Miss Sana's house in Bury, Greater Manchester. It was claimed she attacked the teenager in her bedroom and stabbed her 43 times, with the fatal blow to her abdomen killing her unborn baby. But Mindy told the court she only visited Miss Sana to tell her what kind of man he was. She claimed Miss Sana was fine when she left. Despite no forensic evidence linking her to the scene, a jury convicted Mindy by 11-1 and she got life with minimum term of 14 years. Mr. Afzal studied the case shortly before leaving his role in 2015 and decided something wasn't right. In his book, The Prosecutor, he wrote, "This was the last case I would explore in detail. This time I wasn't looking to prosecute, but to see if we had got it wrong. 3 pieces of evidence made him certain. When Miss Sana was found dead in a pool of blood after the visit, the front door was locked from the inside, so nobody could have left without being let out. Mindy was seen on CCTV at a petrol station on her way home, looking relaxed, with no signs of being close to someone who had just lost so much blood." Mr. Afzal debunks the prosecution claim that Mindy climbed on the cupboard and fled through a tiny kitchen window, leaving a footprint on the work surface, and that Mindy wore a paper suit which was never found for the attack. Mr. Afzal said he would have expected blood to be all over Mindy's clothes, on the cupboard or the window, adding, "I've prosecuted hundreds of murders and never has anyone taken a forensic suit along. It beggars belief." They also said Mindy climbed out of the window, but the footprint was facing the other way. The defense case at the time was that Miss Sana let Mindy out of the house and someone else had murdered her. But Mr. Afzal doesn't believe that either and claims Miss Sana killed herself. He points to the crime scene analysis that showed she was sat on the edge of her bed, bleeding from cuts to her arms. A deep cut to her abdomen indicated that she was sitting and bent over, meaning any attacker would have had to kneel in front of her, or it was just self-inflicted. Then there was phone evidence. Between 2:15 PM and 4:07 PM, Miss Sana received 21 calls and texts from family members. Mr. Afzal writes, "Why would there be so many attempts to contact her unless people genuinely thought she might do something to harm herself or that harm had been brought to her?" He also highlights evidence from Miss Sana's sister, who called an ambulance saying, "I think I've just found out my sister's killed herself? I don't know." A pathologist's report stated some injuries could have been inflicted by the attacker to mimic self-inflicted injuries. Mr. Afzal said, "I'm surprised a pathologist would say this without also suggesting injuries that looked self-inflicted could look that way because they were." Both sides advanced flawed arguments and, to me, it seems very likely the deceased killed herself. Mindy's appeal was dismissed and a referral to the Criminal Case Review Commission also failed, yet a family campaign to prove her innocence continues with Mr. Afzal's backing. "The more I think about this case, the more I think, oh my god. The focus was on the suspect and everyone else jumped on the same bus," he said. "I've promised to do all I can to help the campaign." Mindy's parents, Paul 58 and Suki 56, want the case urgently reinvestigated. Posty Paul said, "We have never doubted Mindy's innocence. She will never get her lost years in prison back, but she can be vindicated." Paul believes police decided to nail Mindy as soon as she contacted them to say she had visited Miss Sana to warn her over Saeed. Mindy was arrested and questioned 11 times in 4 days before being charged. He said as soon as Mindy came forward, the police narrative was she must have been the killer, but all the evidence was circumstantial. There was no blood found on her car or on her. They said Mindy crawled through a small window, but there wasn't a scratch on her. We think the police didn't bother to investigate any other possibilities once they had Mindy in custody. They never looked at suicide, despite evidence pointing that way. To us, it was a dereliction of duty. Mindy is in HMP Foston Hall in Derbyshire, but her family says Mindy will not stop fighting to prove her innocence. Her mother, Suki, said she is humble and respectful and just wants justice. It's been a traumatic experience for 13 years. We trusted the justice system, but it's failed us. Ex-detective Mark Williams Thomas has probed the case in his podcast The Detective. He too says he has serious concerns about the conviction. I found compelling evidence Miss Sana killed herself, he says. The prosecution case was Mindy climbed through a window with a gap of 1 foot, managing to leave no forensic trace. It is clear the defence totally failed to identify the issues with the police theory. Solicitors were reassessing the case for the family, and Paul added, "We are so grateful to Nazir and Mark. We need other experts to offer a hand. We want people to listen to the podcast and make up their own minds. But we know our daughter isn't a killer." Mindy's barrister, Stephen Camlish, said, "We will be asking an eminent forensic pathologist and other experts to examine the evidence afresh. We are likely to submit our case to the Criminal Case Review Commissioner." Miss Sana's family declined to comment. So what are your thoughts about Mindy? Do you believe she is innocent of murdering Sana Ali? Please share your thoughts in the comments below. And thanks for joining us, and until next time, stay safe.